Hello everybody, this is Richard Booth, PGA Professional at Hale Golf Club, and welcome to another video to help you with your golf game. This week we're going to be looking at the grip. We'll be looking at it next week as well because it's proved to be such a comprehensive topic that we can't just cover it in one video. We'll start by explaining why it's so important to have a good grip when you're playing golf, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how you should be gripping it to improve things. So why is a good grip so important? Well, two reasons really. Firstly, so that you've got a proper hold of the club so that during the swing it doesn't move in your hands, which is then going to have an adverse effect on how you present the club face of the ball. And secondly, if you hold it properly, it's going to allow you to use your wrists far better in the golf swing and help you generate more power. Please remember though that the information I'm giving you is guidelines, not absolutes. You'll notice the best players in the world grip the club slightly differently, so it's trying to get you into the ballpark of what we're trying to achieve. You'll notice if you watch good players, as a whole they tend to have a stronger grip rather than a weaker grip, but we'll cover that in due course and so we can understand the jargon. The video's geared up for right-handed golfers, so sorry lefties, you'll just have to reverse the information. And you'll also notice when I start demonstrating in a second that I won't have a glove on my left hand. When I play normally I would use a glove, but it's a lot easier to see what's happening when the glove is not on the left hand, in my opinion. Okay, so let's dive in. Okay, so first of all, make sure that when you grip it, there's a little bit of the club sticking out the top of your upper hand. So if I put my left hand on here, you'll notice that there's probably 5 or 6 millimeters of the club sticking out above my hand. Often people grip it like that, it feels comfortable, but you lose control of the club. So you'll notice most grips, they have a little band around the top, so that's often a good guide. If you get your hand at the highest point of your hand below that, then you're in good shape. So it's going to look something like that. I would say if there's one thing to get from a grip on the video, it's to learn and to understand that the club should be held in your fingers rather than in the palm of your hands. So with that in mind, when we grip this club with our left hand, we're going to start with holding it in our fingers. That's going to be a contact point, as is the thumb, as is what I call the heel pad of your left hand, this bit here. Okay, so if we go into the details of that, what I want to do is curl my fingers up into a kind of question mark or C shape. Then I'm going to rest the club on this knuckle here. I'm going to get it to rest just as we've said there. Okay, so we're in good shape there. Curl the fingers up and then wrap the left hand over so that this heel pad sits on the top of the grip. Not to the side of the grip, on the top of the grip there. Then the thumb, we want the thumb to point ever so slightly down the right hand side of the grip, not straight down and certainly not to the left, but slightly to the right hand side of the grip. Talking about the thumb, once we're in that kind of position, we can have what we call a short thumb or a long thumb. So if I stretch that thumb down as far as I can, that's called a long thumb, and when I do that I can feel tension in my forearm. We don't want that. What we want to do is shrink it back. Okay, that removes the tension from this left forearm, and that's a short thumb, and that helps you grip the club so much better during the swing. Other things to look out for is where the V between your thumb and index finger is pointing. So if I see that V shape there, when I clasp it together I've got a line. So when I grip the club correctly, that V shape should pretty well point at my right shoulder. Okay. If it's too much round there, it's what we call a weak grip. If it's too much the other way, it's more of a stronger grip. But we'll cover more of that in the next video. Okay, so now for a word of warning. If you just go on where that V is pointing, it's possible for me to get the V pointing pretty well at my right shoulder, as with that grip. But if you look from here, I'm gripping it totally in the palm of my hand, so that's a big mistake. So make sure that you've got the V pointing at that right shoulder, and we look from this angle, you can see that heel pad is on top of the grip. One of the biggest mistakes I see is that heel pad goes there to the side of the grip. So work hard on getting that on top. You can even, when you're taking the grip, almost start by putting the heel pad on, wrapping your fingers under, and getting that thumb on the right hand side as you look down. So an interesting little checkpoint, if you've done everything correctly and you've got a good grip, or you've adopted a good grip, what you'll notice, we've got the V, I've got it gripped in my fingers, and you'll notice, you can do it yourself, there's almost a little gap there on the top of the grip where this part of your hand isn't really doing anything. As I say, I'm gripping it with my fingers, my thumb and this heel pad, and the rest of my hand isn't doing anything. So if you can feel that you've got the palm in contact with the club, then you're probably doing it incorrectly. So to tie everything together, I've got a hammer here. It's got a hickory handle. It's quite a narrow gripped hammer. Quite often they're a lot thicker. So this isn't far off the same thickness as a golf grip. But if I put that on the floor and I picked it up the way I was going to do it to hammer in a nail, well, lo and behold, the way I grip it is not dissimilar at all. You can see it's in my fingers, that heel pad's on the top and my thumb's in that position. I've got leverage. If I try and grip it in my palm, it's very difficult to generate any power or accuracy. So it's just almost as well when you get a ball, if you get a golf ball ready to throw it, you'll notice that you pick it up in your fingers, not in the palm of your hand. And again, that facilitates you using the wrist and generating leverage. So it's very important, as I've said, to hold the club in your fingers. One thing I've not mentioned so far is grip pressure. So when you're holding it, on a scale of 1 to 10, you want to be gripping it probably for a normal full swing shot, something like 4 or 5. If you're having to grip it much tighter, chances are you're not gripping it properly and it's likely a palmy grip, and so you're having to hold on to it so tightly so it doesn't fly out of your hands. But when you get the grip pressure right, it should be around 4 or 5. Tying it all together with a quick summary of the points we've made. Choke down a little bit, so make sure a bit of the grip is sticking out above the top of your hand. Grip the club in your fingers. Make sure that the left thumb is on the right side of the grip as you look at it. Make sure that the heel pad is on top of the grip, and also make sure that you've got a short thumb rather than a long thumb. And when you've got the grip pressure right, you should be able to make some little swings just like this, back and forth, and the club shouldn't move in your hands and there shouldn't be any tension. And what you'll notice from, if you like, the address position, using my watch as a guide, that corresponds with the club face. So there, the watch face is looking at the target. As I swing it back, the watch face is facing the camera, and then as I swing it through, even to that little follow through position, it's turned pretty well 180 degrees and it's facing away from the camera. So just making those little swings, you'll notice how the club should feel nice and light as you go back and forward, no tension, and how the club face rolls over. So the club face is always turning, and that can only be achieved with a good grip. So that's it for this week's video. Practice the left hand. I know we've done however many minutes of video and we've only covered the left hand, but it's so important, the grip. Just leave a golf club around the house and just practice. Every time you walk past it, pick up the golf club and learn to put your left hand on the club correctly. When you can do that, you'll be set for next week's video, where we're going to look at the right hand, we're going to look at putting it all together, right and left hand, how it works as a unit. We're going to look at the different grips, overlapping, interlocking, and we're also going to do a little bit about how you can change your grip to facilitate or hook or reduce your slice, or facilitate a slice or reduce your hook. So that's all to come for next week. Thanks for watching, and see you then.